Thursday, 18th of November. Here we are. We got a great crowd today, and we have all kinds of videos to share with you. So normally I don't do this, but I am going to start the party today.
All right.
I did a video for Equine Voices. They just celebrated their 20th anniversary, and they had their big fall fundraiser up at Casino del Sol a couple weeks ago on Friday. This is basically the history of Equine Voices. So we'll see what you think.
Is this something that you presented up there?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes, this did get shown at the event.
I cannot believe it's been 20 years of rescuing horses with Equine Voices Rescue and Sanctuary. I started by rescuing my love of my life, Spirit, who I rescued in California. And at that time I rescued another horse as well, Big Bud. They're both since passed, but they were really the catalyst to really get me here to Arizona. And then I found out about the Premarin issue when I was in California working on a wild horse sanctuary. I decided to rescue 4 babies, Gulliver, Spanky, Deuce, and Bella. And they really are the highlight of this event this evening. They were the catalyst for me starting Equine Voices in 2004, which is celebrating 20 years, which is hard to believe here in Amado, Arizona. So I started with 6 horses, and I decided that I could do more. And so in 2004, I decided to file for the 501c3, and shortly after that, I did rescue 15 pony skin babies that were being slated for their leather hides, and they were a month to 2 months old. So early on in 2005, the nonprofit status came in, and 20 years later, here we are. It's just mind-boggling to me that we've saved so many lives, and we're celebrating 20 years of saving lives and really bringing awareness to the plight of all animals, but especially the equines. It's a heartfelt story of perseverance. I believe that you can overcome anything if the purpose is there and the intention is there. I was faced with 21 horses, absolutely no money. I'd used all my savings to start this organization, and I was scared. And I wasn't getting paid at the time because I was building the organization, and I knew that I had to go to work. It was either making a choice of going back to the corporate world, which is where I was from, or working at night and keep working towards getting this organization up and running. And at that time, I was by myself pretty much. I'll never forget the life-changing moment for me. One of the many that I've had here was, number one, I was so scared. I was either going to give it up and not even go for it, and then what's going to happen to the 21 horses? I work at night, or I just quit. So we have a big tree that's in the main round pen, and I'll never forget, I got on my knees. And I'm a spiritual person. I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I do believe in the higher power. And I got on my knees and I said, "Dear God, if I'm supposed to be doing this, if I'm meant to continue this work, then I need help. I need help. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes on my end to make it happen, because I have 21 lives depending on me, and I need help." And I got the job at the Two-Back Resort. I started waitressing at night. I started being able to feed myself. My sister sent in a donation for hay because I was, how am I going to feed the horses? You know, I'd gone through my savings. And then Diana Medeiros, who's a famous artist in Tucson, donated from her foundation. And that kind of got me up and running. And next thing I knew, people started coming to help and volunteers happened. But that was the pivotal point in my life for Equine Voices, was getting on my knees under that tree and asking for help. And it changed everything for this organization. I know that somebody listened to my calling because the horses needed help, and I think that was obvious. When I got on my knees under that tree, I looked at the pebbles in the road, and I looked at it and I thought, maybe I could save 5,000 of them at once. But I realized way at the beginning that I can do what I can do in my little corner of the world. And I'm really serious about that. So I looked at one pebble and I said, I can save that one. It's that starfish theory. Every day I get a phone call. This horse has been abandoned. This horse is starving. This horse is this. I can only do what I can do, and hopefully through the networking and trusting people, other groups that do ethical work, that we can also place horses in other organizations that are ethical and are responsible. But the reality is we can't save them all unless people start becoming more aware of the issues and start being responsible for the care of their own animals. And that's a big challenge for me because it hurts my heart because I can't save them all. At that point, we had 10 acres and we had enough to sustain what we brought in. And managing a rescue isn't just about bringing in horses and feeding them. It's about managing the property, the land, the manure, the funding, of course. Hay, it's doubled. Everything's doubled the last year or two. Trying to manage the number that you bring in versus the manpower, the finances, the land base. We have 25 acres now, and honestly, it's all been because of the donors and because of the people that really believe in our cause and have faith in us. And there's so many charities out there that they can donate to, but we could not do this without the support of our board, our donors, our volunteers, our sponsors, people that donate to our events and things like that. I think a lot of people think running a rescue is so glamorous. Oh, trust me, it's not. It is. There's so many moving parts. There's everything from grant writing to the office to sending out thank you notes to our donors, which is really critical and important to me, to make sure it's a two-way conversation. Everybody that donates or supports us gets acknowledged in some fashion, even the little things. COVID was a good year for us because people weren't going out, they weren't driving, they had a little extra money. So we had a pretty good year with donations. Now is a whole different story. The economy's in trouble. Inflation, all that, managing the people, managing the staff. We have payroll, we have this, we have that. Hay, what if we don't get a hay delivery and we have 62 horses that we have to feed? There's just so much to it, and I think sometimes people get into the nonprofit rescue world thinking that it's glamorous and it's all peaches and cream. It's definitely a passion, it's definitely a purpose. I started on a wing and a prayer, and I just have been really blessed and very lucky that it's kind of evolved to this point. And I'm here to help anybody, any other organization that needs help. I'm not the expert, but I'm happy to help. So there's so many moving parts to making an organization like this work. And like I said, by the grace of a higher power, we're still here. It's amazing, really. And it's been because we've had a really strong community and people that have really wanted to help, and that is the bottom line. We've rescued several Mustangs, about 13, from Devil's Garden Plateau, and some of you may know about it. Northern California, there were 907 in that roundup, and they were rounded up by helicopters. We had enough capacity to take 11 at the time, and the only space we had was in our 90 by 180 arena. So they lived there for quite a while. And the reason why the 10-acre habitat with the Mustang barn is so critical is that now they have 10 acres to roam on. It was an interesting series of events trying to move them from the arena to their new habitat. It was quite an ordeal. We had to put up panels, portable panels, and run kind of a chute. And we tried to do the Fruit Loop Trail with alfalfa. So we did the Fruit Loop Trail with alfalfa, trying to get one horse to go through. And once one went through, we thought they would all go through. It took a while for them to understand that we had bits of alfalfa, but eventually they all followed and ended up in their new habitat with very secure fencing, a brand new 8-stall barn, 7 stalls and one tack room basically, lots of shelter, lots of shade, lots of trees, and now they're living the high life. And we've recently had a baby born, and he's growing up to be this big guy, and his mom would have gone to slaughter. She and her buddy had health issues, and they came from the same Devil's Garden herd, and they were in the holding facility. And we received a call from the Wild Horse Preservation Campaign and asked if we would take those two, and we did, not knowing that Gigi was pregnant. So Eclipse was born under the eclipse moon, and we named him Eclipse. And if this habitat wasn't here, he wouldn't be here. None of them would be here. And that's what our community and the donors and the people that support Equine Voices have done to make a difference for the lives of these beautiful, incredible horses that actually built our country. In Arizona, it's not a law to have shelter for horses, which I think is a complete disgrace. All of our horses have shelter, and the Mustang barn, the east side of it has pens with an awning shelter, but the other side is open, so there's always shade. It's a big shelter. And they have a lot of trees, so they can hunker under the trees if they don't want to go under the shelter. Now, in Gulliver's Corral, we have a really big shelter for those horses. And it's funny because Gulliver loves the sun. He doesn't care about the heat, but one raindrop and he runs underneath the shelter and he takes everybody with him. And so my philosophy is, first of all, I think it should be a law that anybody that has a horse in Arizona should have a shelter for the horse, whether they're standing in a 10 by 10 or they're on 1,000 acres. They should have a choice to either get out of the rain or get out of the sun, and it's up to them to decide what they want to do. So that's why I've worked really hard to raise the funding to make sure every single one of our corrals has some kind of shelter for the horses. So they have a choice to either get out of the sun, get out of the hail, get out of the rain, and if they decide to stand in it, that's their choice. But at least I've provided everything that they need to make their lives better. Currently, some of our needs are land acquisition, because every day I get phone calls for horses that need help. But maintenance, general maintenance. We did just acquire through a grant a used backhoe, which was necessary. As our horses age out, we need a way to send them to the Rainbow Bridge, and give them their dignity of passing over. Fencing. We need fencing in the burrow habitat, and I'd like to get more permanent fencing in the west 5 acres of the Mustang habitat. We did recently, through a grant, purchase these feeders that are incredible. If we get more land, then that would be next on the list. It is not only helping on waste, like waste of hay, but labor, and it's keeping the horses where they can eat all day long, giving them more of a natural environment. And I've seen a whole difference in not only their attitude, but their weight and their coat. It's just really changed our lives here for everybody. And if we do acquire more land, then we're probably looking at another barn and those sorts of things. And then basic maintenance, a backup fund for if the well breaks down or if our equipment. Recently, our quad spent 3 weeks in the doctor's office. Our quad broke down, and that is our machine that we use to drag all the corrals with. Eventually, we'll need a new one. It has 21,000 miles on it. It's a workhorse. It works hard. So eventually our equipment is going to start needing to be retired. So a fund for that, so funds to go towards equipment replacement is critical for the operation, the day-to-day operation for the organization. And then of course, hay, vet bills, special supplements, everything is doubled, so it's incredibly expensive. And as I mentioned earlier, we don't have any grass, so everything that we feed the horses, we have to pay for. So those are immediate needs at this point. As I mentioned earlier, I started this organization literally on a wing and a prayer, and then I got on my knees because I was in trouble. I felt like I was in trouble. And if it wasn't for the community support, our donors, our volunteers, our board of directors, people that just lend a hand, where we're at today it's all about gratitude for me. I want this organization to continue on even after I'm gone, even though I'm not going anywhere yet, but to continue on. And in order for us to do that, we need to continue to be systematic, be a team, continue to remember why we're here, and know that we're making a difference in the world in our small pocket in Amato, Arizona, even though we've branched out nationally. I think if we can always remember the purpose and the purity of this organization, I think there's no doubt in my mind that this organization will be here for a really, really, really long time. I can't thank all of you enough for coming to the event this evening, for supporting us, and I invite anybody that hasn't come to the sanctuary, come for a tour. We would love to share our miracles with you and meet the animals that you're supporting. So I'm full of gratitude. Thank you.
Well, thanks. What do we think of that?
That was
Awesome. Very welcome. Very inspiring.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, I'm ready to write a check.
Oh, good. They would love that.
Yeah, a nice mix of interviewing her and coming to the facility.
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, the big thing too is, especially having that B-roll, all this action footage and stuff,
Yeah.
covers up all the editing that's done to clean up pauses, all that stuff. And it really helps you kind of build that story,
Yeah.
being able to do that. So,
Was she talking, off the cuff? I mean,
oh yeah, everything was off the cuff. And probably, I'd say the whole interview probably lasted 40 minutes. So the interesting thing was I was on a road trip and I had to kind of think about how I was going to put this story together. And so I listened to it in the car a couple of times, the whole interview. And that kind of gave me the idea of, okay, this is where I want this to go. And I had a general idea before, but I really wanted to say, okay, what parts did we kind of repeat? What do I need to cut out? Whatever.
I really liked the, where she was in the foreground, then it was a little, in the background was, a little fuzzy or whatever.
Little green screen.
How did you do that?
Well, that's green screen. And I will tell you, the bad thing was if I can pull that up again. I've done some green screen before. And the problem that I had with her was her hair, it's not as clean as I've done it mostly with guys before. And so you don't have a lot of like the flyaways and the earrings. And so there's a little bit of stuff that's going on that I'm not wild about. But once I did the effect to the whole interview, that I was committed. It's something that 99% of people will never know. Somebody that knows editing will go, God, that's horrible.
I was super impressed.
Yeah, out of that, her with her sister, their hair was a little off color. And
Well, that is just the photo.
was it
that's
just
not-
a photo?
Yeah, that's not me doing anything right there. That's,
Right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, because it looks greenish.
well, yeah. Well, normally you're not doing green screen on a still photo. You're only doing it on
Yeah.
a thing like that.
Right.
And it's really a very simple process. There's a thing that's called a keyer. And you basically put that keyer on it, drop that background right out, and then that creates a layer. And then you can put whatever you want behind it. Be it stills, video, whatever. And so that was my intention when I shot this, knowing that, okay, I want to incorporate some footage of the horses in the background. And so I took footage that I had, I darkened it up a little bit so she pops more.
Yeah.
And then I blurred it so it's not sharp and it fights with her. So you just get that feel of,
Yeah, that was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
oh, thanks.
I also really like the
The vignette,
vignette. It seems to really pull the focus in too.
that mask really, well, and I've
Yeah.
given that mask out and I will continue to give it out to anyone that wants to use it. It draws your attention into the center,
Yeah.
which is a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in telling the story, can you go to the clip where she's younger?
okay. With the horse
No,
or afterwards where she's right
there, that one
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, what is it?
Yeah.
Why is it?
Yeah.
And everything. This is when she was backpacking around the world
Right.
and everything.
I asked her if she had any pictures of herself in the corporate world. She didn't have any.
Yeah.
And I needed to put something in there, so I just used a picture of her.
Yeah. I guess not because there was nothing in the audio kind of saying what that is.
Right.
Maybe something on the bottom, 1987.
Oh, sure.
Wherever this was.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely do something like that.
Yeah, I thought I knew the story,
Right.
but other people that don't and everything,
Sure.
you look at that and you're like, how do we go from horses to this woman standing here
Yeah,
like this?
Yeah.
And this is younger, so
yeah,
she doesn't exactly look alike, at least to me.
right. Well, and that's where having that one picture at the beginning with her and her Spirit, those two, that's an older picture, obviously, with Spirit, and then that one.
Yeah.
Same thing. So it was like, I was hoping that I could get some sort of a shot of her dressed up for work or something in the
Yeah.
corporate world. And she didn't have anything. And it's like, okay, I still need to clean up this audio. So I've got to put something in there
Mhm.
I'd rather just go with that and then have that audio cleaned up so the story is nice.
You could get some stock of buildings.
I could've.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
No.
I could definitely go back and do that. All right, I like that. Yeah, Joe.
So if you said that the interview was 40 minutes, how long did we
This
just watch this?
is a little under 14 minutes.
Okay, so how did you edit the interview?
Basically, it was just a process of, one of the things that we did this with Danny's interview, went for his Camino walk that he did. Danny and I went through the whole trip, probably spent a couple hours looking at photos, talking about each day what happened, and I took notes. And then when we interviewed him, Todd was there with me. We would say, okay, tell us about day 2, tell us about day 5, whatever it was. Well, with her, I did the same thing. We spent time talking about the history, took notes. And so then when it came time to interview her, I said, okay, let's talk about, how this got started. How did you come from California? Tell us about how, because the one that was interesting was the tree story. And she had done that. She didn't say it in the interview, which killed me, but she had done this in the middle of the night. There was nobody around and there was just the moonlight. But she didn't say that it was at night. But anyway, that kind of thing. And so that's how I built the interview in terms of just asking her all these questions and then deciding, okay, this is important, this isn't important. There's stuff that she talked about that just didn't lend to the story for this piece, knowing that this is for the fundraiser and people are going to see it.
I thought your slow-mo or you slowed it down, how many times maybe?
In terms of, well, like the horses and all of this was shot normal speed, and then I slowed it down through a program that I've got. When she's at the very end here. Well, that was shot with the iPhone. That's GoPro.
So a font for that,
That's shot with the iPhone. Slow-mo. And then at the end with her and the horse, this is all shot with the iPhone as well. So 120 frames a second, and you're getting 1080 as the resolution.
So do you think maybe a half a dozen times you altered the speed?
No, I didn't alter the speed at all on this.
Well,
Oh, you mean during the course of the whole video?
well,
This one. Like right here, that's running straight as it's shot.
okay,
There's
but
no slow-mo editing.
okay, between your editing and the way you shot it, how many times did you change from, say,
Well, I mean, I guess I'm running the footage as shot.
right?
Now, on the one where you saw the horse and the mama, Gigi, and Eclipse, I went in and slowed that down
Yeah.
in software.
I just thought, every time I saw it, it just seemed so effective. And
Oh, yeah.
It made me wonder what made you
Oh,
think
why?
it was creative, and you made a tender situation even more tender.
I think it's a time thing, knowing that it's kind of like when we talk about photography, we talk about color and black and white. If you really want to look at a photo, you look at it in black and white, meaning as a photographer, because then you're looking at the detail and what's going on. People get wrapped up in the color. It's kind of like the thing of the hair being in the old photo being a little green or whatever. Well, if that was a black and white photo, you wouldn't even think about that. So in the same vein, anything like this that I'm shooting, I know it's going to have that effect. I can also go in and I can run that normal speed. I can speed that up in editing if I really wanted to, and it would look great. So I think it's the thing of slow motion to me adds that element of your mind kind of sees what's going on. You have time to analyze what's going on versus it's just quick and it's 5 seconds and it's out. Well, it comes and goes so quick.
A real quick question.
Yeah.
On this shot of a horse.
Yeah.
Did you have some grain in your hand while you were holding your iPhone?
No,
Or did he just come sheep, whatever,
yes.
naturally?
Naturally, I had it on the gimbal and I had it up a little higher so that I was shooting down a little bit. But no, the horse just came up and was interested in the gimbal and the phone. Yeah, well, and that's why when that happened, I'm like, this is money, this is gonna go. Yeah, I'm like that. Okay, anybody have anything else?
I'm
Yeah,
just curious, does she still use alfalfa?
they do for some, they feed hay for most of it, and then I think at times they give them alfalfa.
And I was in Minnesota talking to a horse person who's selling grass, not alfalfa.
Right.
That's what they really like back there.
Sure. I think it's what they can get here,
Yeah.
that's the big thing. When the big semi rolls in with the hay and it's
Right. Yeah.
$12,000 for the one load of hay that lasts
Yeah.
4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's an expensive proposition with all those horses and burros. But anyway, for them to make it 20 years, that shows you how well the organization is run.
Kevin, do you have any idea what their annual budget might be?
I do, but I can't tell you. I can tell you that it's an insane amount of money.
Oh, yeah.
Insane amount of money.
And how many hours you might have spent on this?
Editing?
Well, the whole thing.
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, some of the footage I had, when I'm doing something like this, I don't even bother in my mind to keep track.
Well,
If I had to guess, I would say there's probably 50 or 60 hours of editing. It may be more, I don't know. So anyway, it was a fun project to do, and because I was so busy, I wanted to do more, didn't have time, so it was like, okay, gotta get this out, here we go.
could it be one of your best pieces?
I think in the sense that, I always like to think is any of us in here, think of the last video you did versus the first video you did. Well, hopefully we've all gotten better in terms of how we put a story together, our narration, if we're doing narration, our music. So since this is the most recent piece, I'd say, yeah. Now give me a month and then maybe this won't be as good. Something else will be better.
So Kevin, did you have a chance to enjoy it with everybody else, or are you busy taking pictures of everybody enjoying watching this?
No, I'm shooting the whole time. I'm shooting the event. I'll have a video to put together for the people that missed the event. So yes, I was busy all night and got to consume food and adult beverages after the shoot.
Okay, do you have any caterpillar today?
No, sorry, Doug. Maybe next time. I'll have one for you next week.
Well, you had the first one. It was
Well, I have the photos.
Right.
But he wants video. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
I have the answer for the money.
Yes.
It looks like about $2 million a year is what the revenue was. And expenses were like, almost the same. So
As a nonprofit organization, they probably spend every dollar they get.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Well, and
Well, that's what the accountants do.
yeah. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's an expensive proposition. And all the stuff and everything else, but you got a great organization.
Well, if they have a reserve fund of any kind.
Yes.
That's where you can shove any spare cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, as she said, expenses come up and that quad will be the next thing to be replaced. So, all right. Well, thank you for that, everyone. Let's do, Sherry Lee, you've got one for us. Is this one of your story times with Lala?
Yes, it is.
Tell us about it.
So this one, so when Todd did the thing about the microphone and changing your voices, and we've been talking about that, I thought, I bet I can do that in Audacity.
Okay.
So I watched some YouTube videos and saw, oh, I can do that in Audacity. So this one, I have altered my voice for the creatures.
Okay.
So that was really fun. And then my grandkids, so when I did the spider one, which was because some of the input that I had here was to do more, not showing all the words and just doing it more, whatever the terminology is. Anyway, so my one of my kids who's a Disney girl, she loved that one. That was her favorite. But my grandsons who watched the most of my stuff, it was too fast.
Oh.
And they want to try to see the words and they like it being a little slower. And so I thought, oh, so I need to do some both ways, you know.
Okay.
So this one I'm back to for my grandsons, but the photography of the book, for some reason it didn't photograph well.
Okay.
And I actually then, and I was having some trouble with my phone, and then I ended up exchanging and getting a new phone. So then I redid the photos. And I think I need to look for some new software to help me with the, or a new app to help.
Okay.
Because I was using an app, PhotoScan, that was working well enough for me before, but somehow on this one, it didn't do well. But I figure it's just for the kids. They're not going to even notice. You guys will notice, but I'm not going to redo the photography. And, but I did also find an ad, the boys wanted more of me in it.
Okay.
So I took a photo and I found some, on the computer, I found this place where it could adjust my face.
Okay.
And so I have some facial adjustments where I show it in there a little bit. So those are the fun and new things that I did on this one.
All right, well, let's check it out.
It's story time with Lala. Monkey, a Trickster Tale from India by Gerald McDermott. This story is part of an ancient collection of folklore, fables, and legends called the Yadika Tales, which originated in India in the 3rd and 4th centuries BC. Monkey, chattering monkey. He lived high in a tree on the banks of the wide flowing river. Monkey jumped so high and so fast through the treetop, no one could catch him. But catching Monkey was exactly what Crocodile wanted to do.
Murmured hungry Crocodile. How delicious a monkey heart would be.
Crocodile slithered into the water.
Good morning, Monkey.
He called out. Good morning, Crocodile, answered Monkey. Where are you going?
To the island in the middle of the river, answered Crocodile.
Yum, said Monkey. Delicious mangoes grow there, but that's too far for me to swing.
Climb on my back, my friend,
called Crocodile.
I'll take you to the island.
Monkey swung down from the tree and hopped onto Crocodile's scaly back. As Crocodile glided through the deep, dark water, he sank lower and lower. Monkey began to get wet. Oh my goodness, I cannot swim, shouted Monkey.
How well I know, said Crocodile. Now I'm going to eat your heart.
Eat my heart, said Monkey. What a pity. I left it up in the tree.
You left your heart in the tree?
Crocodile grumbled.
What a nuisance.
Crocodile returned with Monkey to the muddy brown riverbank. As soon as they reached the shore, Monkey leaped off Crocodile's back and scampered up a tall tree, laughing and chattering. Look, my heart is here, called Monkey from the treetop. Just climb up and get it. Crocodile grunted and thrashed and swam away. Now, Monkey wanted the delicious mangoes more than ever. He leaped from treetop to treetop until he discovered some large rocks far downriver. He saw that if he skipped across the rocks to the island, he could feast on mangoes every day. The next morning, Crocodile came swimming down the river looking for Monkey. He heard Monkey chattering. He saw Monkey jump from tree to rock to island.
I shall pretend I'm a rock,
said Crocodile.
When Monkey jumps on me, I will snap him up, heart and all.
Crocodile lay low in the water all day long. When Monkey had eaten his fill, he headed for home with all the mangoes he could carry.
He jumped off the island onto a rock in the river. He was about to jump onto another rock, but something was wrong. Monkey looked closer, then called out in a cheery voice, "Hello, Rock." Crocodile was silent. He lay low in the water. Monkey called out again,
I say, good evening, Rock.
Crocodile said nothing.
Rock, will you not greet me this evening?
Asked Monkey. Crocodile thought the rock must usually answer. He said,
Good evening.
"Ha! You're not Rock," said Monkey. "You're Crocodile,"
I'm as good as a rock.
said Crocodile.
You can jump on me to get to the other side.
Oh, what a splendid idea,
said Monkey.
Here I come.
Monkey got ready to leap. Crocodile closed his eyes and opened his jaws. But instead of leaping, Monkey popped a mango right into Crocodile's mouth. Bang! Crocodile snapped his jaws shut. Quickly, Monkey jumped on Crocodile's nose, then onto the muddy brown riverbank. Laughing and chattering, Monkey scampered up a tree and swung from branch to branch.
Your teeth may be sharp,
Monkey shouted to Crocodile,
but your mind is dull.
Now, Monkey feasts on delicious mangoes every day. Crocodile lies low in the water, keeping an eye on him. And when Monkey crosses the river to go home, he is always careful to jump on a rock, not on a crocodile.
Well, it was great. What do we think of that?
It was great.
Very, very cute.
Whoops.
Sorry.
So did you do the monkey sounds or did you find them?
Yeah, that was, I found those.
I like
thought
that
it was
addition.
Pixabay.
That was a good addition.
Nice little elements.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did you do, did you have some adjustment on Audacity or on the microphone that you can alter your voice?
Audacity.
Okay, I thought that was a great way to do the narration. It just added a little interest.
Yeah.
Also, what'd you think of the moving animation stuff that she did with the different figures? That really kind of brought it home too.
Mhm.
Now, what issue were you having? I saw there was text that was not sharp.
Yeah, the text wasn't sharp, and even when I tried to take a separate picture just of the text, it still wasn't coming out clear. So I just kind of,
Do you take it with your phone or?
yeah.
So I'm wondering if, I don't know much about the technology of phones, but whether it's got a very wide aperture and therefore a very short depth of field. And the book is probably not very flat, so you've got a little bit of.
Yeah.
There's a little bend in
Curvature,
there.
Yeah.
And I try and push it down as best I can. And then I have an app that's supposed to help make it, look flatter than just a regular picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, anyway, that's where I just said, you know what, the kids are gonna be watching the monkey
sure.
move more.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff.
I don't know if it would help or not, but if you got like a glare-free glass and use that and weighted it down, that might flatten it better.
That's an idea.
Or,
Here's another idea.
or the other thing is,
Scanner.
The scanner, we got flatbed
Yeah, the
scanners
road.
here at the club. Bring the book over, you could use a flatbed scanner and scan each page.
Okay,
And then you could assemble the two in a Photoshop type program, whatever, elements or whatever. And then everything would look nice and clean.
ooh, I like that idea. Okay.
Yeah.
or you can cut the book apart.
Yeah,
There's a scanner on your phone too.
well, the one on my phone, I have,
Yeah, but that defeats the
it
purpose.
Yeah.
still doesn't make it,
Right.
look flat.
I think if you, like
And I-
Sam's idea of the glass would be
Yeah.
great, or like the flatbed scanners here would be even better.
Yeah.
You would have no glare and
And
no
are they
issues.
pretty large scanners here? Cause like I have a flatbed scanner, but it's not big enough for my,
They're about 14 inches, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And,
You know,
and when you do it, either, are you a Mac person or a PC person?
PC.
So you want to find the new scanner because the old scanners, the software doesn't work real well with Windows 11.
okay,
Okay,
And I've had reports of problems and a request to buy a new scanner in next year's budget.
okay,
yeah, that would be great though.
okay,
I like that idea.
yeah.
So,
Too.
and you know, I can only imagine the kids have to love this. Seriously, they get this
Oh, yeah.
video and you do such a good job with it. How could you not be entertained?
Now, the other thing, it doesn't matter a lot, but if you photoshopped out the monkey that's kind of just sitting there and just use the mobile monkey, I don't know if that would make things.
It's more work than I wanted to.
That's your answer, Sam. Well, how long do you think that this took you to do approximately?
About 20 hours.
Yeah, I can see it. Yes,
Could this have a commercial use where you could tie in with the authors?
I'm not gonna do that,
no.
but thank you.
Yeah.
They might want to pay you millions to.
You know what, if you were gonna go down that road, everything would have to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
They're not gonna put something out like we saw with the text. Even though, most people would never know that or see that, but
Yeah.
if they're gonna put their name on something, they're gonna want it to be absolutely perfect.
I mean, and I'm not okay with that either,
Right.
but, how many hours, what do I
Right.
want, I just,
Yeah.
I did the pictures, I went through
Yeah,
2 times, that
Yeah.
takes a bunch of time and it still didn't come out.
yeah,
You're making it for a very limited audience.
Yes.
your
Exactly.
grandkids.
Yeah,
well, us too.
yeah, it's for,
That's for the kids.
it's for 6
The grand-
grandkids.
Yes.
That don't have that critical of an eye, thank goodness.
Well.
I'm much more
Yeah,
critical.
but wait till they're 20 and.
Yeah, wait till they're 20, that's right.
Well, thank you for that. That was great.
Thank you.
Let's, Larry, why don't you tell me about your Malta video, please?
Malta, this is the other end of the spectrum. Background is my friend Pat told me her son was taking the family to Malta over Thanksgiving. We spent time there, we spent 10 days there in 2010, so that's when I made it. But the significance of this video to me is, at that time, I'd been shooting video for about 8 years. And I'd done the standard travel things. I was here, this is what we saw kind of thing. And after I put the several types of videos together on the Malta trip, I realized there was a story in this. And this is what I encourage people here to do. Find a story, tell a story. So this little 5-minute video gives the background on Malta. But it's also very old.
Okay.
Taken off of an old DVD.
Wow.
Well, let's check
Not
it
a
out.
Bluetooth or Blu-ray, but an old DVD.
All right, let's see what you got.
Malta, in the Mediterranean, 93 kilometers south of Sicily. The archipelago has been occupied by Greeks, Phoenicians, Romans, Arabs, Normans, Sicilians, the Knights Hospitallers of St. John, the French, and the British. The tiny island of Malta in the center of the Mediterranean has been a key locale in 2 of the great events of history. After being driven from the Holy Land and the island of Rhodes, the order of the Knights Hospitallers of St. John was given the island of Malta by the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V in return for an annual payment of 1 Maltese falcon. The Ottoman Empire was in possession of much of the known world and was threatening Europe. Because the Knights continued to harass Ottoman shipping, Suleiman II, the Turkish Sultan and head of the Ottoman Empire, ordered Malta to be taken. The besieging force was about 40,000 strong and led by Turgut Reis, the Great Dragoo, a fearsome leader. The island was defended by about 600 knights and 8,000 Maltese. The Ottomans thought they could quickly take Fort St. Elmo that guarded the Grand Harbor, and then pick off Fort St. Michael at Sanglia and Fort St. Angelo at Birgu. However, Fort St. Elmo held out for 5 weeks, fighting to the death at the order of La Valette, the Grand Master of the Knights of St. John. After a fierce bombardment from 3 sides, the fort was eventually taken. The Ottomans' attempt to capture Fort St. Angelo and Fort St. Michael failed, and the Turks sailed home with only a quarter of their army intact. Malta had lost 219 knights and 9,000 inhabitants. Only 250 knights survived at Malta, and almost every one of them was wounded, maimed, or crippled. Europe, however, was now free of the Muslim threat that had appeared so invincible. For their extraordinary exploits, the standard of the Knights of St. John, now called the Maltese Cross, was for a time saluted by every nation in the Christian world. At the outbreak of World War II, Malta was Britain's most important Mediterranean naval base. Its role was to protect east-west supply lines while blocking the passage between Italy and North Africa. Mussolini plunged Italy into the war on June 10, 1940, and the day after that, Italian bombers attacked Valletta and its harbors. The British had only 3 Gloucester Gladiator biplanes on the islands, nicknamed Faith, Hope, and Charity. They were matched against 200 Italian aircraft based 60 miles north in Sicily. For 3 long weeks, the Gladiators defended Malta's airspace alone. In December 1940, the German Air Force moved into Sicily to support the Italians. Meanwhile, German and Italian submarines maintained a relentless assault on the supply convoys. Pilots of the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm engaged them, as did the effective anti-aircraft artillery on the island. Like ants, the Maltese moved by the thousands into man-made caves and railway tunnels in the island's limestone. Malta could provide little of its own food or fuel. Supplies had been stopped by the German and Italian air forces and navies. Small amounts of cargo came in on fast minesweepers and mine-laying submarines. By June of 1942, it had been 9 months since a convoy had made it to Valletta. 8 cargo ships had trickled through in that time, but that was not enough. Malta was in dire need of food, fuel, and ammunition to continue its struggle against the Axis power. Finally, a convoy made it through only 2 weeks before the island would have had to capitulate, but at a loss of 9 merchant ships from an original convoy of 14 ships. It took the Allied assault on Sicily in 1943 to end Malta's close involvement in the war. But in the summer of 1942, the small Mediterranean island of Malta had been under Axis siege for 2 years. That April and May, more bombs fell on Malta than fell on London during the Battle of Britain. King George VI sent a special message to the people of Malta informing them that they had collectively been awarded the George Cross for their unyielding bravery. Quote, "to bear witness to a heroism and devotion that will long be famous in history." End of quote. The George Cross is the Commonwealth's highest award for civilian bravery. As a result, once more the flag of the island was to bear a cross, this time the George Cross.
Okay. What do we think of that?
I think it's a great history that I had no idea. I mean, I sort of barely knew where Malta was.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. I had a little bit of trouble reading some of the titles sometimes. So you need to, if you feel like redoing this.
Which you won't.
I would look at, try different colors of type and I thought when you had the artillery, it drowned out your narration a little bit, so you might have taken the volume of the artillery down a little bit. And the last thing is, I thought the ending note ended too quickly. it sounded like it was an organ note, and it sounded like it cut off suddenly as opposed to either tailing off or something like that.
Was that because of the DVD? Or is-
That's probably because it was 14 years ago.
Well, no, I know that, but I think it's kind of like how the video just stops, obviously, the DVD just, that was the end of the.
Yeah, well, I pulled this stuff off my DVD.
Right.
You know, and
Sure.
yeah, it is what it is now.
Yeah.
Nothing I can change.
No, or I mean, you want to change, right? The one thing I think is interesting too about all this, great history, like Sam said, for an island, you've heard of it maybe, but have no idea about it or
Yeah.
significance. So it's a nice little history lesson.
Yeah.
And then you incorporated some of your photos and video from your trip.
And a whole lot of stock.
Yeah, well.
Well, not even stock.
Yeah, you're talking about all the stuff from the wars and everything else.
I like the zooming in on like Malta and then out onto the map, larger map. You did that a few times in there.
Yeah.
And that was helpful for those of us who are geographically challenged.
Okay, does anybody have anything else on that? All right, well, thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here, we've got, Todd, I want you to tell us about your Flory.
Well, why don't you go do,
You want me to do another one?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's do do you want me to save it? Or you don't care?
no,
I'll
just go,
I'll just show it later.
well, show it after this one or later, whatever.
Okay, let's talk, Tom, let's talk about your Oasis video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is one we showed last week, and based on the feedback that I got, I made some changes. One was, we didn't have any bird sounds. So threw some bird sounds in, and then there were a couple of images and everything that, people suggested we change the backdrop on it. So, did that, and then threw a little script in, not script, but, some
Narration.
notes and narration underneath.
Okay. All right, let's check it out. Okay. What do we think of that?
That looks nice and clean.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you add, was there any text? I didn't see their other version. Did you have text in the other one?
No,
The one thing that just as a quick goodie and it's really hard to do, you're trying to be consistent with your text color. So he went with white, got the drop shadow in there, which is great. It does help, but you see even on a shot like this, how it kind of fights with the background. So, and I don't know that switching the color would make a difference. I don't think it would.
no, almost need to do
A bar, something behind that to really pop it better
okay.
would be the way to go.
How about this? Could you put the words like going down on the part that there's a blank area to the right?
You know, I think it would fight too much, or meaning that you're gonna have type going all the way down. There's a lot of type here.
Yeah.
You have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
I like the consistency of having it in the same spot, which is great. Cause at least you know if there's type coming up, that's where it's at. So my thought would be if there's just putting a little opaque bar with some,
Make it translucent,
yeah, you'd have some translucent.
not totally.
There's some
opaque.
presets on DaVinci that you can just put right in there and.
Yeah, for some reason or other, I wasn't finding those with the text.
Okay.
I know in closed captioning, this there, you know, that you have the background and everything, and you can change the settings and everything on that.
Yeah,
I just could not find that at all.
there's a couple presets that can put a single bar behind there, another one has a double bar, and then you can change the opacity to the bar, the bar, the color, I mean, you have control over.
Oh, okay.
That'd be a great way to do it.
Todd, is that an inspector or is that?
No, it's uninspected, that's under special effects, and then under the video transitions.
Okay.
It sounds like you're gonna have class in DaVinci. Oh, go ahead.
I really liked, when you changed the backgrounds from light to
Oh, okay.
what you here. That looked so nice and it just felt more cohesive. I did want to hear more bird sound going all the way through it, not just at the beginning and the end.
Well, what was funny was when we first got there, I was taking videos and everything, and it's like, man, all these birds chirping are annoying as the dickens and everything. And so I just took still shots pretty much after that. And so hindsight being 2020, it's like, oh no, we needed to be capturing all that noise and everything, because especially where the macaws are.
Yeah.
Oh man, once one of them starts going, they all start going.
So was the audio, were the bird sounds that we heard from that initial video you did, or did
Right.
you get it?
Wow.
Yeah, that was, well, actually not in the initial video, but that was part of the field trip.
Yeah.
You know, those were the actual bird sounds. And you hear some of the people in the background talking about, you know, voice noise in here.
Quick question on this photo. Did you use Topaz on this? Or some software?
What I did was Lightroom, because in the original, the gal that was showing us around was off to the right. And so I got rid of her.
Right.
And as I was doing that, I also figured, okay, let me see if I can make the bird pop a little bit more. And I think I've screwed up the beat.
Well, yeah. You're also, the other thing too is there's over sharpening going on, meaning that, I mean, you're not doing her any favors. And if you look here too, you kind of see there's some little artifacting going on around the bird. You're better off to not. I always say, like, when it comes to, like, in Photoshop, they call it unsharpened mask. You're better to have less than more. You go too far and it doesn't look good.
Oh, okay.
And if you look at some of your other photos, like the photo before, I mean, that's not too bad, but when you went in and did on the next one, I mean, that really, I mean, that's just a personal thing,
Oh, okay.
I think.
So are the artifacts those black marks around the edge of the bird?
It's, if I hang on into it, was it before, was it after? 1 second, here we go. It's the, there's the edging.
Yep.
You see this up in here and stuff?
And there's like a black line all along the chest of the bird.
Yep.
I'm
And
saying it right.
and maybe that part of that is Photoshop. This, see, if you look here, you can see how sharp this is. So whatever you did to Photoshop her or Lightroom her out, this is all soft back in here. This is insanely sharp. That's what drew my eye. And then all of these lines in her face are so exaggerated. It's just too much.
No, that's really her.
Yeah, well, it may be her, but it's not flattering her. I guarantee you, if she sees that photo and says, "Oh my God, look at my wrinkles, it's horrible, I hate you, Tom."
Okay.
I'm trying to save you.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'll take her out completely.
No,
No.
dial it back.
Okay.
That's all I would say.
Okay, appreciate that.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else on that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I guess I'm thinking that Tom is assuming that we know about the bird sanctuaries. There's some text. I did not like the music. I would have liked hearing Tom tell me about it.
Oh, some narration?
Yeah, the classic who, what, when, where, why, how.
Oh, okay.
Those questions would be interesting to know the answers to.
I just really didn't like the music. And I really like Tom's narration. And if it isn't his narration, it's his girlfriend.
No.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that momentarily. Maybe.
Yes, we will.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's a quick question. Here's a quick question on the video. Who did not like the music? Raise your hand. There's like a couple who liked it. I liked it. I thought it went well with the stuff.
Well, it could, all right, so we have both, right?
Well, and the beauty of this is, and we talk about this all the time, music is incredibly subjective.
Yeah.
What I like, you hate. Not that you're bad. It's just, we all have different tastes in what we like or don't like. And you sit there and you might watch it and say, God, I'd pick something else. This is what I would pick. Well, that's the beauty of creating your own video like that.
Well, there was, the music ended and he started with a different song. And to me, that break in the music should have been a little later.
Okay.
I'm thinking he probably.
Actually, it's the same song, but the ending does that. You know, it goes from an upbeat to a and so it's like, okay, how do I work this out?
Okay.
And that's when I was able to use the one where it goes, where he's got the bird perched on his shoulder and he goes, and then, you know, the last scene is basically loving up the bird.
Okay.
So,
Well, there we go. Now, do you want me to show yours or no?
Sure, no, you can.
Okay. You wanted to be gracious and wait till the end?
Yeah.
All right, well.
So this video. Well, the one reason, because several of you were there, you've already seen it, but it was so loud and everything. So this is about an event I went to in the Netherlands. It's called Floriade. It's a horticultural event that takes place once every 10 years. We were there the second day it was open. And as you'll see from the video, they weren't ready. There was a lot of things that just were not ready. Now, by the end, because it was open for 6 months, by the end, they had over 2 million visitors to this event and everything. But I didn't sense any sense of urgency or, the ticket people saying like, hey, just want to let you know, there's supposed to be 33 countries represented here. Only 5 have completed their pavilions, so, no.
All right.
So
Let's check it out.
yeah.
Hey, Lovey, where do you think you might want to visit next year?
I would like to go to Floriade.
Floriade? I thought you didn't like the humidity in Florida.
I don't like the humidity in Florida, but I don't want to go to Florida. I want to go to Floriade.
What the heck are you talking about? Floriade, Florida? Are you practicing your Spanish?
No, Floriade Floriade Expo 2022 is an international horticultural exhibition in Almere, Netherlands. The theme is Growing Green Cities. The event showcases sustainable urban living solutions and attracts visitors from all over the world.
Sounds cool. Let's book it.
This should be a lot of fun with 33 countries participating in this expo.
Can't wait.
Floriade is derived from the Latin florio, meaning to bloom or blossom, and that's certainly the idea behind Floriade Expo 2022, a Dutch horticultural exposition held in Almere, Netherlands. The theme of the expo this year is Growing Greener Cities. As we walk towards the Floriade sign, made out of block wooden letters, we see both sides of the entrance lined with lovely beds of tulips stretching out over 100 feet, blessing us with all their beautiful colors and styles. After all, it is springtime in the Netherlands. There, at the end of the walkway, is Alex, a 20-foot tall mechanical robot welcoming us to the expo, but very old-school mechanics. The ticket taker scans our ticket and directs us to get into the cable car for a short ride over the exposition, giving us a panoramic view of the expo. That was pretty cool. On the other end, the gondola drops us off on Utopia Island, where we start our adventure. We are welcome to see what Oosterwolde would look like, an example of self-organization and a democratic approach to urban living. There are 6 ambitions for Oosterwolde. They are to be organic, to have limited rules and maximum freedoms, to have continuous green landscapes, for 50% of your land to be designated for agricultural use, to produce your own food, and be financially stable. Conceptually, that sounds good, right? Good luck with that in a country where you must get approval for the color of your front door from the town you live in. Kinda sounds like our own HOAs.
Did yesterday?
What did we do in Amsterdam?
What did Ajax do yesterday?
I don't know. I didn't hear. We were over at the Koekenhof today.
No, we were at the Koekenhof.
They were lost the cup final. So where are you from?
Tucson, Arizona.
Nice.
We came a long way.
It's like Breaking Bad, not Arizona.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon indeed.
Everybody here at the Floriade Expo 2022. We are string testing and we hope you're having a fantastic day. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes beautiful. We're gonna entertain you now for the next 30 minutes with some light jazz on a heavy banjo.
Bit of folk as well, right? Bit of folk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
He is. He's got his gimbal. Keeps it steady.
Okay. Where are you from?
Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona. Wow. A lot of Americans here seems today. A lot of Americans. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We love you too.
So what are you building?
Well, we are actually, this is the agroforestry part of the Utopia Island. And this is a place where we just work as volunteers to keep the forest.
Do all the work.
Yeah, actually all these plants have been planted by us 2 years ago. And look at them now, they're quite big. And it was a wild forest here in the beginning.
Did you have to change the soil much?
Yeah, no.
No, you just put it in what was here.
Yeah, exactly. And a bit of compost, whatever they call it. No fertilizers I used at all. Yeah, it's the old-fashioned way of agriculture, the old-fashioned agriculture way.
As we continue down the path in the Argo forest, we come across several pieces of conceptual artwork made from organic materials. I guess one person's vision is another's mystery. At least it was to me. We come full circle and pass a cafe to come across the plastic beach house made entirely out of recycled plastic. It's probably a pretty good use for all the plastic we recycle these days. Farewell, Utopia. Onward to the urban district. We first come to the Flavo campus that facilitates innovation, experimentation, and applied scientific research by supporting researchers. I guess they were outstanding in the field because no one was there that day. FC Wiki House folks were displaying their zero carbon house kits. Geez, maybe like how Sears did in the early 20th century. But I don't think you can buy one for $2,400. But again, no one was there. The multi-storied Aries Hodge School is an interesting building that houses a university that focuses on agricultural education. But they must have been out in the field with the Flavo folks because we didn't see anyone there either. Seems to be a pattern here. We passed by a few other buildings that conceptually seem to be connected to research and education, which is a good thing, especially if people are around to talk to. Further down the walkway, we come across our first international pavilion, Germany, a welcoming pavilion and one of the few places serving food and drink, and so we did. I do like my German beer. We paused for a moment as we walked by the empty French pavilion. There was no ooh la la going on there that day. The Japanese pavilion was open and their gardens were beautiful. Inside was interesting, decorated with many items made from natural products and many beautiful floral arrangements. As we departed, the koi fish windsocks, the national fish of Japan, were blowing in the wind. Qatar was open for business and had several interesting structures. The sand-colored beehive-looking structure is actually an example of a pigeon house where they collect pigeon dung to use as a natural fertilizer. It's a common practice I've seen in other Middle Eastern countries. They had a short video playing praising the sheikh for all he has done for their country. Not a surprise there. United Arab Emirates Pavilion had pools of water demonstrating how they are growing their country by moving sand from the desert and dumping it into the ocean so they can build more cities. China was peaceful and serene, as one would expect. It was a nice place to sit back, relax, and enjoy the sights and sounds of water and nature. As we headed to the greenhouse and gift shop, we paused for a small trolley that circles the expo on a regular basis. We purchased a few items at the gift shop, then headed to our car for our drive back to Amsterdam. All in all, we enjoyed our day at the expo. Since this expo only happens once every 10 years, I hope they figure out how to have everything open on day one. After all, only 5 countries' pavilions out of 33 were open. Tot ziens, or goodbye, Floriade. Better luck next time.
What do we think of that? Kevin, can you take it back to where I was, the chef was talking?
Was that, hang on.
Germany.
No, back before that. It was,
Pretty close to the beginning, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah, before these guys, back to, so I just, obviously I know what's going on and everything, but I'm watching this, I don't think I explained it very well. So one of the things that I typically do, I'm a big football or soccer fan and everything, and I will typically buy a jersey of the prominent team from that country or that area. Ajax was the team, and I'm wearing, when you see my reflection, I'm wearing a red Ajax shirt who was playing in the Dutch Cup and everything, because I always find it starts conversations, wherever I go. And so he was curious because they played in the Dutch Cup the day before. Ajax lost 2-1 and everything. So, but that's what started the conversation. And then he asked the question where we're from, and I reply Tucson, Arizona. And I don't know if there's a way I could highlight this a little better, or if it's not even worth it. But he says, "Oh, Arizona, like Breaking Bad." And so,
Is there a
Personally, I had a hard time understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, this, so if you want to caption it.
That's what I would do. I would close caption it. And then I would also close caption the guy, that guy right there. I'd close caption
Him too.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm kind of like Sherry Lee. This one's done. Yeah, right.
The interesting thing, like with the chef, the Breaking Bad thing would have been great to know. I didn't hear that.
Right.
I didn't say that distinctly.
Yeah.
So, that's just food for thought. Sometimes if you have somebody that's, speaking and maybe it's a little hard to hear for whatever reason, do a little closed captioning for that section, and that at least.
So would you just do it across the bottom like that
Yeah,
too?
normally the closed captioning.
So just use that.
You can tell it where you want it to go.
Okay.
Put it on the bottom. And
Does it, I haven't used that before, so
Yeah.
does that do it automatically?
yes.
Oh.
Well, I don't know about DaVinci.
I'll go back and test that.
You have to tweak it, because you can set your backgrounds and all that stuff.
Yeah.
and opacity.
But does it pick up them speaking, or do you have to type that all in?
You have to type it in.
Type it in.
You have to type it.
Well, there is automatic.
I'll look at it. I'll
Yeah.
look
Anyway,
at
that's,
it.
that would be something that. Oh, go ahead, Darrell.
I just have one question. Your closing shot where you're running the credits is a picture of a flower.
Yeah.
It looks like a cactus flower, but is it?
Yeah.
Is that from?
It was from there.
That was from there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So Todd, I had a question for you. Did you use the same stabilization throughout? Some of the shots look better than others.
So everything I shot there, I was using my gimbal and everything. I tried doing some stabilization on DaVinci, and I just didn't like how it looked.
Right.
So I just went back and said, you know what? I don't want to do it. You know, with stabilization on DaVinci, there's a variety of settings to it and everything. And the ones I usually use, perspective, and try to hold the image and everything, it had to. So what that does is when it's stabilizing anything, when it's changing the form of the picture that's outside of the frame, then it keeps zooming in till it doesn't, you don't have that. And so it just was losing a lot of the image that I was looking for. And without doing it that way and everything, all of a sudden the whole image is jumping around all over the place.
Yeah, but like your pans look really good, but at the beginning, walking past the flowers was a little bit jumpy.
Yeah.
Well, but like you say, and were you using? Do you have a gimbal for your big camera?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was on my DSLR, my Canon.
You can see his reflection in the window.
I can tell you, walking around with that all day long. I mean, the camera itself is like 5 pounds. It's another 5 pounds. I do have I have a strap around my neck. I got that after the first time using it, but
for like $10,000, you could get a whole harness.
yeah, right. Well, I was telling Doug over the weekend. Actually, I mean, besides the amount of time it takes to set it up and everything, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I just got to figure out other ways to do it than using it. So I went to all those different MVP and B&H and that, and said, I'm looking at trading this in, and they were all like, and everything. And then I went and looked online. They probably have hundreds of them on there that are up for sale and everything. So they don't want any more. Yes, Holly.
This is just opinion. Music. I found like the music you chose and the music Tom chose are both kind of non-intrusive background, what I call noise, but other people would call music. and I liked it when you have narration, because as you listen, you focus on the narration and it's just background stuff. So I thought it worked very well on yours.
No, thank you.
Yeah, because you had that narration and you had some humor in your narration.
Yeah, I liked your point. I liked when you were giving us your point of view, not being neutral about it. I like that.
Thank you.
I guess building on what Holly said, I thought you ducked the music down too far when you were narrating, and I couldn't even hear the music during the narration, as opposed to it being there. But
turn up your hearing aid like
Yeah, if you go back to that ship.
Yeah.
Okay, I found it conflicting to say, what's the text on the right? And I thought, okay, and then trying to read the bottom. So.
And I was focusing on his face because I focus on faces. So I never even saw there was something on the bottom.
Okay, so can Sally run your camera?
To do what?
So you two are having a dialogue while she's thinking.
If you pulled him aside away from all the background and then you and him side by side, we'd see your shirt.
Yeah.
That could, yeah.
That would explain something, but trying to read all that gibberish on the.
Yeah, and
Well, you're not reading that gibberish because it's all in Dutch.
Yeah.
You know, so closed caption
Yes. Would help.
could be a different way. That way, I wouldn't need the bar on the bottom where it says PBS beats Ajax 2-1 for the Dutch Cup.
It's nothing.
Aren't you glad you made this video?
Well, he's talking about it.
Yeah.
But I don't even know when, that's a foreign language, even though it's in English.
Right, yeah.
Dean, did you have something?
Well, I had a treat that I sent you an email link for.
Okay.
A YouTube video. It's 2 minutes long.
Okay.
And it's for Thanksgiving. And I wanted to see if maybe you could share it, but if it's too complicated, don't bother.
Well,
But I sent you an email. Like,
okay, well, let's do this. What I want to do is, does anyone have any more questions for Tom?
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for
Stop recording for this week, and then I'll try to show that, and then we've got Tom's little video that he wants shown. So let me do that real quick. Hang on a second. Okay.
Well, Kevin is doing that.
Wait, thank you. Bye, everybody. We meet on the 28th, which is next week. Thank you, and we'll see you then.